The date is October 27, 1993. In a dimly lit hotel bar in the industrial town of Blackburn, England, two professional wrestlers are about to engage in a confrontation that will forever alter their lives. What began as a heated verbal exchange between Sid Justice and Arn Anderson will soon escalate into one of the most notorious real-life altercations in professional wrestling history. As the night wore on, tensions reach a breaking point when Anderson brandishes a broken bottle. Security Chief Doug Dillinger intervenes, sending both men to their rooms. But the night is far from over. In what can only be described as a moment of violent impulse, Sid storms Anderson's room, wielding a chair leg. The ensuing chaos will see Anderson retaliate with a pair of scissors, leading to a bloody encounter that left Anderson with 20 stab wounds and Sid with 4. If not for the intervention of fellow wrestler 2 Cold Scorpio, who discovered the scene and broke up the fight, wrestling history might have taken a far darker turn. Anderson lost 1.5 pints of blood that night, a reminder of how quickly the theatrical violence of professional wrestling can spill into dangerous reality. Number 2. The line between performance and genuine animosity would blur again in the early 1990s, when former tag team partners Shawn and Marty Janetti engaged in a brutal hotel room brawl. The catalyst was wrestling legend Rowdy Roddy Piper, who allegedly stoked tensions between the former friends until they erupted into violence. The situation became so volatile that local law enforcement arrived on scene, only to be talked down by none other than Macho Man Randy Savage. In a moment of quick thinking that would become wrestling folklore, Savage convinced the officers that the battered state of both men was simply part of a storyline they were practicing. The reality, however, was far more serious, as the fight was so severe that the Federation kept both performers off television for a month, and Michaels threatened to quit the company entirely. This real-life friction would eventually inform their legendary on-screen split, catapulting Michaels towards superstardom, while Janetti's career gradually faded into obscurity. Number 3. The world of professional wrestling has always attracted strong personalities, and when Paul Orndorff and Tony Atlas crossed paths, their clash was perhaps inevitable. Both men were the epitome of athleticism, chiseled physiques, unparalleled conditioning, and power that left audiences in awe. Their confrontation, which began in a car and ended in a hospital, demonstrated how quickly wrestling technique could be employed in real-world altercations. Atlas, a skilled amateur wrestler, neutralized Orndorff's attempted sucker punch with a move known as a crater, a hold so effective that Orndorff's only recourse was to bite Atlas's ear. The bite would require medical attention and an overnight hospital stay, with doctors warning Atlas about the particular dangers of human bites. This incident stands as a testament to the real fighting skills that often lurked beneath the theatrical performances of professional wrestling. Number 4. Sometimes the most intense backstage conflicts arose from in-ring issues, as demonstrated by the altercation between Ravishing Roode and the Ultimate Warrior. Despite their electric on-screen chemistry, which produced some of the finest matches of the late 1980s, including their legendary bout at SummerSlam 1989, tensions simmered behind the scenes. Roode, renowned for his technical proficiency and ability to carry less skilled opponents to great matches, finally reached his breaking point with Warrior's reckless style. After one particularly stiff match, Roode cautioned Warrior about working safely in the ring. When Warrior dismissively responded that he didn't need to be careful because he was the Warrior, Roode responded with a knockout blow that laid out the muscle-bound superstar. While accounts vary as to whether Warrior was rendered unconscious or merely knocked down, there's no dispute about who emerged victorious in this real-life confrontation. Number 5. The tale of Dynamite Kid versus the Fabulous Rougeaus stands as one of the most violent backstage incidents in wrestling history. In the late 1980s, fueled by a cocktail of drugs and aggression, Dynamite Kid blindsided Jacques Rougeau with a vicious assault that left Jacques' face swollen and bruised. The retaliation would come later, and it would be brutal. In a scene witnessed by Federation producer Bruce Pritchard, Jacques confronted Dynamite near the catering area, armed with a fistful of coins. The ensuing attack left Dynamite's face a bloody mess, with teeth scattered across the floor and blood pouring from his mouth and nose like a faucet. The situation was so serious that it required an emergency roster meeting presided over by Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, and Hulk Hogan himself. Number 6. When Ken Shamrock encountered the Nasty Boys in a bar in October 1990, it set in motion a chain of events that would result in one of the most brutal backstage fights in wrestling history. After Brian Knobbs repeatedly harassed a female friend of Shamrock's, tensions escalated until the Nasty Boys were ejected from the bar. But Shamrock, his anger not yet satisfied, followed them to their hotel room. What ensued was a violent melee that saw Jerry Saggs hurled through a television set before the tide turned dramatically. Saggs struck Shamrock from behind with a telephone, its metal base plate rendering him unconscious. The aftermath was severe. Shamrock suffered a broken sternum, eye socket and nose, along with a concussion. If not for the intervention of other wrestlers, the situation might have become even more grave, as the Nasty Boys were reportedly planning to throw the unconscious Shamrock from the balcony. Number 7. The reputation of Haku as one of wrestling's most legitimately dangerous men was cemented in his confrontation with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. When Beefcake filed a complaint about Haku's stiff wrestling style, Haku's response was swift and terrifying. He found Beefcake in the shower area and proceeded to choke him until he turned blue, at one point lifting the muscular Beefcake 2 feet off the ground. The scene was so intimidating that despite a locker room full of professional wrestlers, no one dared to intervene, as it took the arrival of Hulk Hogan himself to talk Haku down. The incident left such an impression on Beefcake that he would later describe Haku as a legitimate killer, capable of taking multiple lives with his bare hands. Number 8. The 1995 confrontation between Vader and Paul Orndorff demonstrated how quickly workplace tensions could escalate into violence. When Vader arrived late for a promo filming, Orndorff, then working in production, pressured him to hurry. The exchange of words quickly turned physical when Vader struck Orndorff in the chest, knocking him to the ground. What happened next would become the stuff of legend. Orndorff, wearing only sandals, responded with a haymaker that floored the 400-pound Vader, then proceeded to stomp him repeatedly until they were separated. While Vader would later claim he chose not to fight back due to Orndorff's management position, the irony of this excuse wasn't lost on those who remembered Vader throwing the first punch. Number 9. The 1997 backstage brawl between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart represented the boiling point of one of wrestling's most famous real-life feuds. The catalyst was Michaels' infamous Sunny Days promo, where he implied Hart was having an affair with Tammy Sunny Sitch. The accusation caused problems in Hart's personal life, leading to a confrontation in Michaels' dressing room that quickly turned physical. According to Jim Ross, the fight was intense enough that even the legendary Pat Patterson was taken down while trying to separate them. The most visible damage was to Michaels' hair, which Hart had been ripping and tearing at throughout the fight. While neither man suffered serious injury, the incident would foreshadow the infamous Montreal Screwjob that would occur 6 months later. Number 10. Our final tale of backstage violence involves Kevin Wacholtz, better known as Nails, and Federation owner Vince McMahon himself. In 1992, following SummerSlam at London's Wembley Stadium, Nails confronted McMahon in his office over what he perceived as inadequate pay for his performance. When McMahon dismissed his concerns, Nails allegedly attacked him, knocking McMahon over in his chair as he violently choked him. The assault not only cost Nails his job, but also a planned main event program with the Ultimate Warrior. However, the story takes an ironic twist, as during McMahon's 1994 steroid trial, Nails appeared as a witness for the prosecution, but performed so poorly on the stand, contradicting himself repeatedly, that he may have inadvertently helped secure McMahon's acquittal. If this dark tapestry of professional wrestling's history has captured your attention, then you'll find yourself equally fascinated by the labyrinthine world of Vincent Kennedy McMahon's most disrespectful encounters with his own talent. In our next exploration, we dive deep into the shadows of sports entertainment's empire, where power, ego, and control collide in a series of confrontations that would forever alter the landscape of professional wrestling. From Montreal to Madison Square Garden, from betrayed legends to buried careers, we unravel the complex web of incidents where the chairman's iron-fisted control led to some of wrestling's most infamous real-life dramas. Just go ahead and click the thumbnail appearing on your screen and you can watch it completely free. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click it, and I will meet you there momentarily. Thank you for watching.